Tick-tock. The clock is officially running on Diddy. On Friday, he finds out his sentence, but today, prosecutors made their move. They're pushing for just over 11 years, a massive gap from what his defense team is asking for. At the same time, the Combs family has turned his downfall into a streaming spectacle. What looks like a comeback documentary is really a confession wrapped in glossy packaging. Most people thought the Sons would stay quiet and wait out the storm. But then the trailer dropped, and the cracks showed fast. Sources connected to Zeus Network say this project isn't about clearing Diddy's name. It's a strategic attempt to rewrite history while his appeal hangs in the balance. Perfect timing. Either it helps free him or it locks his legacy in place forever. Here's the issue. Justin Combs is currently named in a Los Angeles Superior Court lawsuit tied to a 2017 incident at a Beverly Hills mansion. The filing alleges a woman was lured there under false job promises and later trapped in a situation she couldn't escape. These are allegations, not proven facts, but the timing is explosive. That same incident is reportedly connected to footage that later surfaced in 50 Cent's documentary. According to reports, it became a centerpiece of the Netflix series, raising serious questions about who was protected and who wasn't. Christian Combs didn't help matters either. He briefly posted a threat aimed at 50 Cent after the Netflix expose hit #1, then quickly deleted it. The series was built around footage of Diddy before his arrest, footage Diddy once commissioned himself, then later called stolen when it surfaced. The Sun's documentary promises truth and transparency, but their own legal situations tell a different story. One where the apple didn't just fall close to the tree, it followed the same path. And here's what no one's asking. If this is about justice, why release it the same year their father's final appeal could fail? Because the real footage, the kind that doesn't get edited for prime time, is still out there, and it's already been used once. When the trailer hit, the reaction wasn't excitement, it was realization. This wasn't a rescue mission. It felt like a last performance from a family that already lost control of the script. Zeus Network claims the series exists to humanize Diddy while he serves a 50-month sentence in a New Jersey federal facility. But the timing is too perfect, the rollout too polished, and the silence from attorneys too loud. The project was announced weeks after 50 Cent's Sean Combs. The Reckoning pulled in 22 million views in under a week. That series included raw footage of Diddy unraveling in a New York hotel room as lawyers warned him the walls were closing in. That footage wasn't leaked by outsiders. It came from Diddy's own archives. Material he reportedly ordered filmed himself, unknowingly documenting his own collapse. Now his sons appear to be walking into the same trap, promising openness while legal shadows stretch across every frame. The trailer shows Justin and Christian watching trial footage in silence. Their expressions say more than the narration ever could. Defiance mixed with something that looks like acceptance. People close to the situation claim this wasn't really their idea. That pressure came from higher up, possibly even from prison. If true, this documentary isn't bad timing. It's a calculated gamble. The series is set to drop in 2026. The same year Diddy's appeal could either free him or seal his fate. This isn't a comeback story. It's a eulogy in motion, and here's what's missing. The documentary doesn't mention Justin's pending lawsuit or Christian's separate legal battle stemming from a 2022 yacht incident, both still unresolved and both serious allegations. Instead, the trailer ends with a collect call from Fort Dix. Diddy's voice cuts through like a reminder. This story isn't over, and he may still be calling the shots. Christian's now deleted post targeting 50 Cent didn't come off as tough. To many, it looked like panic. Because when narratives start slipping, desperation follows fast. The post stayed up for less than an hour before Christian deleted it, but not before 50 Cent fired back hard. His response wasn't just a clapback, it was a reminder of power, money, and longevity. One message made it clear who still controls the room. That exchange wasn't just online drama. It was a power play, and Christian lost before it even escalated. With legal trouble already hovering and his father's reputation in pieces, the threat didn't look brave. It looked desperate. Now let's talk about the footage. The backbone of 50 Cent's Netflix series is built around clips of Sean Combs in the days leading up to his arrest. His team claims the material was stolen from an unfinished project. But the truth feels more complicated. Sean Combs has documented his life for decades. Meetings, studios, private moments, everything filmed as if he always believed one day the footage would save him. But this time, he wasn't the one holding the keys. The footage didn't just leak, it landed exactly where it would cause the most damage, and whoever passed it along is still out there. That's the real mystery. A documentarian who once worked with Combs claimed the leak came from a temporary worker while Combs was out of town. But insiders say that explanation feels way too convenient. People close to the situation believe someone deeper inside the circle knew exactly what they were handing over and knew exactly who needed it. And if that's true, the bigger question becomes what else is still sitting in private archives? Witnesses have described how some parties appeared normal at first. Music, people socializing, nothing unusual. But later, phones were collected and paperwork appeared, details that continue to raise questions. The Combs brothers' documentary trailer ends with a prison phone call from Sean Combs. His voice cuts through the silence, meant to signal strength and control, even from behind bars. But here's what people aren't saying out loud. If this project is about clearing his name, why does it feel more like a farewell than a fight back? The Suns framed this documentary as their chance to correct the record. But the record already exists, and it's not working in their favor. Justin's lawsuit, Christian's pending case, the footage still circulating. None of it points to a clean ending. This doesn't look like a lifeline, it looks like a last stand. And last stands rarely end the way people hope. Sean Combs' appeal is still pending, and if it fails, the consequences won't just be more time. It'll be a permanent legacy shift. His sons are now facing legal battles that could define them long after their father's case is closed. And 50 Cent isn't stepping back. He still has the platform, the audience, and the footage, and history says he's not finished. The Combs family may believe they're reclaiming the narrative, but that story was never fully theirs. It belongs to the people who've been waiting years for answers, and they're not letting go now. And here's the final twist. The documentary's release lines up perfectly with the appeal decision. 2026 isn't just another year, it's the year everything changes. If the appeal fails, this documentary becomes Sean Combs' legacy, a final attempt to shape the story before the doors close. And if it succeeds, then the question becomes this: will he see what his sons did as loyalty or betrayal? Either way, the Combs family is no longer in control. They're reacting, not leading. And in games like this, the people reacting are usually the ones already losing. What no one is really talking about is the footage that's still missing. Sean Combs didn't just film the days before his arrest, he's documented his entire life for decades. From the peak of Bad Boy's dominance to the collapse we're watching now. What ended up in 50 Cent's hands was just a small slice of a massive archive. A carefully chosen piece of something much bigger. And if someone was willing to leak that, what's stopping the rest from coming out? The Combs family might think this documentary puts them on a fence, but in reality, they're just waiting for the next hit. And when it comes, it won't be another documentary. It'll be a reckoning. There's another detail in the trailer that doesn't add up. Justin and Christian are shown watching trial footage with looks of defiance mixed with something that feels a lot like fear. But here's the problem. They weren't outsiders to the trial. They were there every day. They heard the testimony, saw the evidence, and watched the verdict come down. So why do they look shocked now? Unless there's something in that footage they weren't meant to see. Something new. Something even they didn't expect. If that's the case, then this documentary isn't about clearing their father's name. It's about damage control. Because the real story isn't what's included. It's what's being left out. Legal analysts say it's no surprise the family tried to block Netflix from moving forward. They argue that because 50 Cent has a long-standing rivalry with Diddy, the series should be viewed as biased. Netflix fired back, saying while 50 Cent is an executive producer, he doesn't control the final edit. That response only fueled more questions. And then there's the silence. Since the trailer dropped, neither Justin nor Christian has addressed the lawsuits hanging over them. No statements, no denials, no effort to get ahead of the storm. In moments like this, silence isn't strength, it's exposure, and the cracks are starting to show. The real question now isn't whether the documentary will change the narrative, it's whether they'll even make it to the premiere without another scandal breaking, because history suggests they won't. In the world Sean Combs built, the past doesn't stay buried. It detonates. This isn't the first time a carefully staged comeback has been used to distract from controversy, but this time, the foundation itself is breaking. People who've worked around the family say this has always been the playbook. When pressure builds, drop a project, flood the headlines, and shift attention. The problem is, it's not working anymore. The lawsuits remain, the industry isn't rallying, and the public has already moved on emotionally. What's even louder is who's missing. No major artists, no industry power players, no familiar names rushing to stand beside the Combs brand. The only voices pushing this project are paid ones, and even they sound unsure. Insiders say the real push didn't come from the Sons at all. It came from higher up, someone who still believes the Combs name can command attention. But attention isn't belief, and once belief is gone, no edit can bring it back. The era where influence outran accountability is over. The same industry that once protected Sean Combs is now pulling away. This documentary doesn't feel like a rebuttal, it feels like surrender. The Sons may think they're defending a legacy, but they're really showing how far it's already fallen. And if the appeal fails, Sean Combs isn't just facing more time. He's facing a future with nothing left to return to. The industry has moved on, the loyalists are gone, and his sons are staring down legal battles that could define them long after his case ends. This documentary might be their last attempt to shape the story, but it's a gamble. Because if things go wrong, this isn't a comeback, it's a eulogy. And eulogies aren't meant for the living. The final question remains the same. If the footage we've seen is only the beginning, what's still out there? Because if someone was willing to leak part of the archive, there's nothing stopping the rest. The Combs family thinks they're playing offense, but they're really just waiting for the next bomb to drop. And when it does, the story won't be told on a screen. It'll be told in consequences. So ask yourself this: who's really running the show now? And what's on the footage we haven't seen yet?